Hello and welcome to another episode of MVS Vedic Astro. In the last one, we looked at Sun and its effects as it resides in every house of the horoscope. Today, we're moving on to Moon. Before we dive into each of the houses, it's important to know what the moon represents, right? The moon as a planet represents our mind, our emotions, mother, liquid cash. And because it's also a fast moving planet, it doesn't stay in one place for too long during its transits, for example. It also brings a lot of ups and downs in the house that it ends up residing in. So, with that knowledge, let's go through its effects in each of the various houses. So, Moon in the first house. Moon in the first house is obviously, related to the personality of the individual, in their looks, etc. So, an individual with Moon in the first house can be very beautiful or handsome in their appearance. They generally tend to have very beautiful eyes. However, Moon is, like I said, also represents emotions, right? So these people tend to be very emotional, can be very self centered also, very sensitive, though they do enjoy being with others, mingling with other people. Um, the other thing is that these people tend to like living near the water. So they're either going to be in cities that are near some sort of a river, or they may enjoy living closer to the beach, etc. They'll at least want that. Whether that happens or not may be dependent on other factors in the horoscope. Moon in the second house. So, Moon in the second house, again, the individual may have a very beautiful face. If they have Moon in the second house, these people are also very soft spoken, and their speech is very sweet in almost a way. They're very well spoken individuals overall. Um, they love their families, they're devoted towards their families, and they feel happy when they are with their families. They're also very money minded. They try their best to save a lot. However, like I said, Moon can bring ups and downs. So in the second house, they will see ups and downs in their wealth accumulation during their life. These people also enjoy drinking. Moon in the third house. Moon in the third house makes the person very intelligent. They will enjoy creative fields as well. Moon in general represents creativity as well to some extent. So they can enjoy creative fields. With the third house, they can be very specifically like good poets or writers. These people will like to travel, short or long term travel. They're very meticulous in their planning of these travels as well. However, they don't always execute that plan well. Moon can take a person in multiple directions, so executing a plan can become kind of difficult for these individuals. They will also have a lot of younger siblings, and they will get along with their younger siblings. Moving on to Moon in the fourth house. Moon in the fourth house can represent, individuals that are very close to their mother. They enjoy being with their mom. They love their homelands because the country can represent the motherland as well to some extent. So they really do enjoy their homelands. These people also like helping other people in general. They can also be happily married and blessed with children. Um, if the moon placement is weak here, then they may see some issues with the longevity of their mother's life. So either the moon's placement is weak or it's afflicted in some way. That is a possibility. Moon in the fifth house. These individuals are very honest and trustworthy individuals. They care a lot for their children. They will try to do a lot for their children in the children's lives. They're also very knowledgeable individuals in general and very religious. Um, they can be devoted towards their religion. Again, this is another placement of Moon that can make the individual creative. In this house, it's more creative writing or even acting. These people can sort of trend towards those careers. These people they tend to feel their emotions quite a lot. So if they have moon in the fifth house, they feel their emotions quite a bit. Um, in terms of education, these individuals are very intelligent. They do have support from their mother in their studies, but because the moon represents ups and downs, again, they may experience like some pauses in their education. So they might start studying something, either change their mind and study something else, or have gaps between the degrees that they obtain. So it's not like getting a undergraduate degree and then moving straight on to a graduate degree. They may have some time in between where they don't do, or they're not studying specifically. Um, they can also gain some. They can also see some gains from their spouse if Moon is in the fifth house, because the other way to look at it is if you consider the seventh house, which is the marriage house, as the Lagna house, the fifth house will be the 11th house from there, and 11th house represents gains. So if you make that linkage, they may in their life see some gains to their spouse as well. And because Moon sitting in the fifth house also aspects the 11th house, or looks at the 11th house because of the seventh house from the fifth, um, they can have elder siblings and they can be close to their elder siblings as well. Moving on to Moon in the sixth house. Sixth house is considered a weak placement for the Moon. Because the Moon is a cold planet and the sixth house kind of is linked to illnesses, these individuals may always seem to have like the cold or the flu. They'll constantly have that struggle through their life. These folks should also avoid conflicts. In most conflict situations, they're gonna end up losing. Though there are some good aspects to it. This placement makes the individual spiritual, partly because Moon is aspecting the 12th house as well. These individuals will always love to take care of society and do social work. And overall, these individuals, whatever work they do, they are pretty devoted towards their work. Like I said, it's generally a weak placement for the Moon, and obviously it can be made worse with other afflictions, etc. So if there is remedies that individuals are looking for, it is recommended that these individuals pray to Saraswati, which is the goddess of knowledge, and that should help them. Moving on to Moon in the seventh house, these natives and their spouses will both be very good looking, they'll love each other, and overall be very caring towards each other throughout that married life. These individuals love to eat sweet things, though these individuals can be placement of the Moon can make seventh house can make the individuals very concerned about how society views them or how others view them, so that public perception matters to these individuals. And if they do end up doing business, because the seventh house does represent that, these individuals will see a lot of ups and downs, so good and bad periods, in whatever business they pursue. Moving on to Moon in the eighth house. So, eighth house Moon, these individuals will constantly be facing some or other form of issue in their life, and these issues will tend to come up like suddenly. So, either some sort of an illness, some issues with their vehicles, some general peace or stress, something that's causing general stress, to the peace in their life, some issues with home comfort. So these kind of things, they experience a lot of that if Moon sits in the eighth house. These people in general should try to stay away from negative thinking. So whether it's friends that are negative or something else that causes them to think negatively, they should try avoid those situations to the extent possible. Again, there's positives in some cases of Moon sitting in the eighth house. If the individual is in some sort of a research field, where they really need to dive deep to get to the bottom of something, they'll see a lot of success in those kind of fields. they'll enjoy um, learning about hidden things, finding hidden things, or they'll really enjoy like occult sciences and things like that. Moon in the eighth house can also make the individual very secretive. These people don't open up easily to others. Moving on to Moon in the ninth house, these people are very prosperous. They love religion. You know, they're very religious. They're well learned in life. They're very charitable. Um, their children will also be very prosperous. They These individuals will always want to do well for others, and they will listen to and respect their fathers in their life. And again, these individuals will love to travel. Now, whether that happens through work or personal, they will end up traveling quite a bit. Moving on to Moon in the 10th house. Moon in the 10th house is a good placement overall, obviously, if it's not afflicted. So these individuals will try to do good deeds in general. They'll be very intelligent and kind hearted. If Moon is in its own house in this house, so that'd be in the fourth Rashi. So if in the birth chart the number 4 is in the 10th house and Moon is placed there, that is considered a very strong placement for Moon. These individuals will earn a lot of name, fame, and honor in their life. And you know, generally that is a really good placement to have. Though Moon in this house does represent changes in the workplace, Moon is a planet that represents changes in general. So sitting in this house means these individuals may change quite a lot of jobs throughout their careers, or even the fields that they work in. The placement of Moon here can also generally indicate good relationships with bosses. So whoever these individuals report to are generally people that want the best for them, almost like a motherly figure at work, because the Moon can represent the mother. These individuals, again, you know, Moon makes people very creative. So because it's related directly to work, you know, these individuals can be in some creative fields, songwriters, novelists, any sort of creative fields. You know, they can see some success in those fields. However, Moon is also, you know, does represent like food, hospitality. So you know, these people can be in like can have their own restaurant, for example, as well. And that'll be a good successful business for them. Also, Moon in the 11th house can always represent, you know, some work related to the government field or even politics. And again, you know, that's, if they are in those fields, they will see success in those fields. Moving on to Moon in the 11th house. Moon in the 11th house is, you know, these individuals want a lot of different things in life. So they yearn for a lot of different things. They do seem to have a big social circle, and they will also want to do well for society. However, when Moon is placed in the 11th house, these individuals can be somewhat selfish in relation to doing well for society. So they want to do well for society, but they want something in return for that. And in terms of income, because Moon kind of represents multiple sources, you know, these individuals can have multiple sources of income in the 11th house. And then finally the 12th house. People with Moon in the 12th house actually like being alone. They're very spiritual. They enjoy spirituality. So they do like spending time with themselves. Again, they're very imaginative. 12th house Moon kind of makes the individual an overthinker. So because they overthink quite a lot, you know, that can result in them being good sort of script writers, for example. But that does come with some issues. You know, they probably overthink too much. So they experience some issues sleeping, you know, because of all the overthinking that's going on. So the brain activity is high, and because of that, they can even be heard speaking during their sleep. These individuals are also very big spenders. Probably because of like emotions, or they may have to spend money on their mothers in their life. They do tend to spend big. So that is one, I would say, negative of having Moon in the 12th house. So that was Moon in each house of the horoscope. Hopefully, you know, that was helpful to you. And again, if you want your own horoscope reading, done, please go to MVS Vedic Astro. That is MVSVEDICASTRO.com. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.